What's up, guys? How's it going today? My name is Paul Tokuzolu, and this is the Matrix BJJ podcast. If you haven't heard of Matrix before, we are a video streaming service that seeks to provide you videos of techniques, rolling and sparring footage, tournament footage, all sorts of things. We're looking for content created by the martial arts community. If you want to send something in, send it to matrixvideo@gmail.com. We're looking for anything you might want to send in, whether it be footage of you sparring a class, footage of techniques, footage of you competing in a competition, whatever you want to send in. We will promote the footage, we'll edit it, we'll add a cool soundtrack, things like that. So if you want to see the rest of our work, go to matrix.com. My guest today is Oli Geddes. Oli is a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Black Belt under the legendary Roger Gracie. Oli is from London, England, and he has become really well known in the BJJ scene by the amount of competitions he's gone to. I think he has one of the highest records for tournaments that he's entered into and competed in. He's competed at all levels of the sport, and he's been very successful. It was really great to have Oli on the show. He's also working to start up his own association with affiliates all over the world. That's something we talk about during the episode. So please welcome my guest, Oli Geddes. Thank you so much for being on the show. You're the man. I'm here with a mummified Oli Geddes with a lot of bandages around your head. Can you talk about like what made you do this procedure?
Right. Basically, vanity, I suppose it comes down to a little bit. Basically, when I first started out in jiu-jitsu way back, that's cauliflower ear experience, which is not like the standard, I've been training for last my ears are a little bit battered kind of thing. I got full on kicked in the head. A guy went for an arm bar through his heel, missed over my head and threw it into my ear. So my ear basically broke.
Oh, wow.
So it swelled up, turned black, and it got pretty serious from that. And basically all my training partners at the time we were in a smaller gym and we were all very manly. And they all just went, well, what you need to do, the best treatment is to just leave it for a week. And I didn't know any better, so I left it for a week. This is not quite pre-internet. You didn't have the whole jiu-jitsu community online thing by that point. So I just left it for a week, slept terribly. Then I came back after a week, and then the first thing that happened, in the same way that happens when in certain gyms when people have like cauliflower ears, some people will like to just make it worse on purpose. Kind of like that.
Yeah.
So straight away, first session back after that, I had a guy go for an arm bar from side control, grind the heel of his palm into my ear as he pushed my head. So it basically broke again. And at that point, the damage was done. And I still hadn't been told how to take care of it. And so eventually it just hardened. And I ended up with this giant Uber ear on the side after 3 whole months of training. And so basically I figured, well, I've got the cauliflower ear now, so I should probably carry on with jiu-jitsu. So I basically stuck with it from there. But my graduation photos from university, I've got a giant black ear for that as well. It's just one of those things that happened. So it happened like 10 years ago, but always kind of bugged me, and I thought, screw it, I'll get it taken care of. So went to a doctor and had a man take a scalpel and a bone saw to my ear and remove a whole bunch of built-up stuff that shouldn't really be there. And so now, in theory, once the bandages come off, my ears will be mostly flat to my head. We'll see.
What did it feel like to have that procedure happen? I mean, I imagine you were under like anesthesia and painkillers and all sorts of stuff, but like, how much did you feel?
It's not, it was under local anesthetic, and they cover your eyes. In theory, they say to avoid like the lights bugging you, but it's probably more likely the fact you don't really want to be able to see what's going on. And you just kind of, you hear everything. It's kind of like when like scraping stuff, so you feel it through your skeleton a little bit more than you would other things. So like, yeah, I mean, you wouldn't normally feel if someone takes a scalpel to your body from there. You feel it in the ear from there, and you feel people sort of rooting around. And you just kind of sit there and go, well, this is uncomfortable, but hey, you know, I decided I was going to do this. And in the scheme of things, you know, you're going to have the same ears for the rest of your life, so you might as well kind of just suck it up and go from there. Do I expect it to get worse again a little bit? Probably, but I'd like to get the baseline back under control.
Yeah.
From a mistake I kind of made 10 years ago.
Did you have any cauliflower ear buildup like inside of your ear, or was it more on the outside?
In terms of ability to like hear and stuff like that.
Yeah, like was it affecting your hearing?
Mostly on the outside, actually. It wasn't too bad. I had to switch to like those sort of suction cup earphones, like a standard hard earphone. I'd have to put it in my ear upside down for it to stay in across there, which is not the best look in the world. But I mean, my hearing's slightly impaired. I'm not going to lie, but I just figured I'd try and get the whole thing sorted. So that is the current situation from there. But it didn't massively impair my quality of life. I did go and get my hearing checked, and it was worse on that side, but not massively so. But I just figured, I've got another 50, 60 years, might as well get it done now, rather than wait another 20 years to get it done then. So,
yeah.
I'm going to miss a couple of months of training probably, but
hey,
you know, I'll be spending that time in Thailand. It will be very rough. I will try and deal.
What are you doing in Thailand?
I'm going over there to teach, actually. Just kind of confirmed it a couple of days ago. Basically, Vara of Globetrotters fame, she has a gym out there, and their instructor has left, so they want someone to cover over there. So I'm going there for like 3 weeks over Christmas and New Year's this year. It's one of those things I was aiming to stay at home, but when someone gives you an offer like that, you just go, well, yeah, okay, I'll go to Thailand.
Guess I'm going to Thailand now.
And make a good trip out of it. So why not?
That sounds really cool. You've been traveling quite a bit lately. Like you were in the U.S. competing at the Worlds, right? The World Masters. Were you at Worlds or Worlds Masters World?
I did both, actually.
Oh, you did both?
I did World, then I came back, and I went back out for World Masters with a trip out to a few other places on the way. Went there, and then I went out. I went World Masters, and then the Globetrotter camp in the US, I think, was around at the same time. I kind of lose track, to be honest. But I've been pretty much everywhere over the last while, so it's been pretty nonstop. And I was aiming to take these couple of months to kind of chill and just do nothing and like buy myself a break, like a staycation, I suppose the term is.
Yeah.
And then Thailand became an option, and then I'm off again. So it's how it is.
That's awesome. That's so cool. How much does the jet lag affect like going back and forth to all these high level tournaments and things like that you're doing? Have you gotten pretty used to it?
Yeah, it's not too bad really. I mean, the best example I think was the World Masters. I arrived in Vegas at midnight the night before I fought. After a 16-hour flight and with an 8-hour time difference.
Wow.
And I was okay, actually, to be fair. 2 days after the jet lag hit me, and that kind of sucked. But it turned out, because I fought so soon after I arrived, I actually ended up with more sleep than usual, because I slept a bit on the plane.
Oh, okay.
And I arrived, and it was midnight, so I slept again, and then I probably got like 12 hours over the course of the day and a bit. So,
oh, wow.
It's kind of irritating, but again, honestly, I feel that, you know, although these things make the 2 or 3% difference to your performance, like people who sort of don't get the night's sleep the night before or whatever, I mean, generally, you know, your body is capable of finding enough adrenaline, enough performance in it to function okay when it comes to competition.
Yeah.
I had competition at Purple Belt where I didn't sleep till the night before, pretty much. I was not feeling all that great. I had to travel across to Bristol or whatever, so I think I got like 3 hours sleep or something like that. Mm-hmm. And I was at a point where you're so tired you can't really hold a conversation with anyone from there. You know, people try to speak to you and you're just like, I'm just not in the mood for that right now. And I came in and I had 2 matches and I won them both in a minute and a half, and that was it. And I still couldn't hold a conversation when I went off the mat. But, you know, in the moment, when it comes to going back to your instincts or whatever you've been working on for all those years, it doesn't seem to make a huge difference to me, to be honest. You know, I mean, what can be a bit of a problem with like some of the bigger comps when you're fighting on day 5 of a competition you work as a referee the 4 days before, that kind of sucks a little bit from there. But that's a general sort of beat down kind of tiredness. But one day the body usually finds enough. If you're competing, you know, in a black belt world final, would you want the extra rest? For sure. But does it really make a big difference? For me, not particularly. If it makes a difference between winning and losing, I probably wasn't going to win. anyway.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it. Yeah. How were both of those tournaments? Which did you take bronze at World Masters or Worlds?
Thank you for the attempt to comment there, but World Masters, unfortunately. Bronze at Worlds, I'd be a lot more pumped about. I went out in the first round of the Worlds actually to a friend of mine from Costa Rica. But World Masters, yeah. Although to be fair, the divisions were actually about the same size. Obviously, everyone likes to turn in. I think there was an article a little while back about why the World Masters, people shouldn't talk down it because it's a lower level tournament or whatever. Fundamentally, it is a lower level tournament. I'm not going to pretend it's not from there, but I had a 56-man division at Black Belt, Master 1 Middle, which is one of the biggest divisions I've had. I won 3 fights, lost my 4th, got bronze. Can't really be unhappy with that.
Yeah, that's a pretty huge achievement.
It's the biggest competition, biggest division I've fought in since, I don't even know, to be honest. Usually, most Black Belt divisions are 30 or 40. So, it's a stacked division. There's some tough guys. So, and there's a few guys, and one of the guys I fought, I managed to beat narrowly. I fought out, and he ripped me completely at that. So sometimes, there's that caliber of guys. There's people who beat me at adult turning up at Masters. But, it's a slightly lower level competition. But, while I have the chance to fight it, it's a competition. There is no adult division, so I might as well fight Masters. So I fight Masters.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. What was the atmosphere like compared to Worlds versus Worlds Masters? Was it relatively the same, like atmosphere, or were there some big differences?
It's a lot more friendly. It's partly a few things about it. One, it's held in Vegas. 2, the Black Belt divisions are the first thing that happen pretty much in the whole competition, which is relatively rare. So there's a very different atmosphere to it, because the Black Belts all turn up. It's the only competition, pretty much, that I know of that doesn't have Sunday in it at all. Like a long-term division always finishes on a Sunday. This finishes on a Saturday. And, my personal theory anyway, is that the whole point of the Masters World is for everyone to go to Vegas and have a massive party and get wrecked, after the competition is done.
Yeah.
That's generally my theory. There has to be a reason why the Black Belts fight first and why it finishes on Saturday. There has to be, a logical reason behind that. The Masters World is kind of goes that way, but the atmosphere is a lot more laid back overall, and people. There was a video that Lovato put up about the difference between the World and the Masters Worlds, where the World was basically about how getting pumped up and then pulling 50-50 and then doing nothing at all from there, and the World Masters was basically the guys hugging before, hugging, after the shake hands, hugging again, hugging at the end, with some good jiu-jitsu mixed in between. And it's just more casual. It's a better atmosphere overall. Personally, I find the 6-minute fights are a little bit more entertaining, and they suit my game a little bit more, because no one can really fight hard for 10 minutes like you do adult. I think 10 minutes is too long in general, because it's just a chance for people to waste time as much as possible. I'd probably cap it at 8 or 7. Honestly, from there, Masters at 6, because it's like Abu Dhabi time. In the end, there's the beginning of the match, the feeling out process, the point scoring, and then the person desperately trying to win, and that all happens in 6 minutes.
Yeah.
10 minutes, there's just like a long period of just chilling, doing that from there. So, both are fun in their own kind of way, but a 10-minute match is just a 6-minute match stretched out, generally, because no one, barring like a few freak athletes, has cardio to do a 10-minute match hard. Best example, I guess, if you look at like Galvao against Huron, when that happened, Metamoris across there. Yeah. Galvao went all in and gassed around 11 or 12 minutes against the guy who, and Galvao's a beast, and he got a ton of good position, and he wasn't being fought. He didn't have to fight hard for some of those positions, but he still gassed about 12 minutes in. So yeah, 10-minute matches I think are too long. But Masters Worlds generally, Vegas, massive convention center, 16 mats, I think, running at the same time. The Black Belts are still semi-serious, but they have a good atmosphere overall. Everyone else is just having a much better time, and there isn't that, this is the end of the world, it really matters kind of thing. A few guys feel like that, but I just like it more. As a referee, it's much more fun when the Master divisions are more laid back and just don't get too caught up with things. They finish off and they shake hands afterwards, or they walk off, with their arms each their shoulders or whatever, and it just seems more laid back and better that way, really. I know.
Yeah. It makes sense that it would be a little more friendly, and that does sound a lot more fun. As both a competitor and a referee, I can see that being a lot better. Those high-level tournaments get very heated, I imagine. I have not competed at one, but I mean, it's got to be pretty intense.
Yeah. I mean, the other thing with the Masters and everything from that, what's also interesting is seeing how, I mean, this is not about jiu-jitsu now, really, but about how people have aged over time from that. Like, you see guys at Masters 4 who look, they should be in Masters 2, sort of thing from there. And generally, you see, the biggest determining factor, most of the belts, leaving aside sort of, how, there's technical skill level or whatever, is just how can you, how you've aged, basically, from there. It's the people who seem younger, act younger, have, not wrecked their bodies, whatever, tend to do much better in the higher divisions from there. There's Master 3 guys who I've seen fight, like myself, when I get to that age, love to move that well, sort of thing. And there's guys at Masters 1 who look like they've been broken down. I think it depends slightly upon when you started being active in your life. If you started late, you're never going to deal with some of that tightness that you build up over time, I think, or maybe just a different lifestyle, more yoga, more flexibility, or whatever. But there's plenty of guys I see at Master 4 and I'm like, I would expect you to be much younger and you're moving like, anyone else from there. You've been doing, you haven't been doing this that long, but, you move much better than many people who've been doing much longer, I guess.
Yeah. Do you do a lot of like yoga or anything like that to help you stay in shape? Or do you do more like weightlifting?
I keep aiming to, but I don't really. I mainly just the weightlifting from that point there. I'm trusting at the moment in the jiu-jitsu to keep the flexibility kind of going from there. And mostly it's okay from there. I'm not, I was never super limber at the best of times. I mean, I started off super inflexible. Through jiu-jitsu, I became averagely flexible, and I'm still kind of there now. And that's okay. It's not 100% perfect, but it's, the yoga thing, I keep aiming to do it, and I've gone through various programs or whatever, but I still haven't made it a part of my life yet, and I should do, but it's just, it's a morning thing for me. Again, also, the whole traveling thing makes it a little bit harder. Again, to start a new habit when you're always going to a new place, starting up different times, it's a little bit harder. It's important, I mean, being able to move and, have that kind of, body wellness thing going on. But it's on the to-do list along with a lot of other things, but I'll get around to it.
How do you keep some like semblance of normalcy when you're traveling? Because for me, whenever I go to a new place, it's really hard. it takes me at least like a couple of days to really get settled into like my usual routine of sorts. But do you have anything that you can like that you do that helps?
I think mainly it's just the fact that there is no such thing as normalcy, or it is normalcy to itself. I mean, I just kind of, I never get into any real, I get into whatever the routine is for where I am. So if I'm there and I'm teaching twice a day, then I go and do that. If I get up and do what I have to do every single day, which, I'm lucky enough isn't a whole lot that I have to do every day. And so wherever I am, if I'm on a rest period, I'll just chill, hit the gym, whatever from there. If I'm traveling for work, then if I have to get up at 7, teach a 7 a.m. class, teach a 3 p.m. class, teach a 7 p.m. class, I'll do that. I mean, I'm very aware that my schedule is incredibly generous in terms of the time I have available. So it comes down to times when I've got to just do these things, then I just do them. I've always been fairly practical about that. So I don't have a routine really from that. I just, I have things I aim to do every day. And then when I get up, I do whatever else I have to, really. Not, and then I always, when I travel, like I go somewhere new, whether it's staying in airports or whatever I do, I just, I don't overthink things. I just do them. I mean, there's not, you can spend a whole lot of time worrying about things, going, what do I do about this or that? I just go, well, what do I have to do today? What do I have to do tomorrow? And I just do them.
So you don't like overly complicate things and try to like add in a bunch of extra stuff. You kind of like just look at what you're doing for that day and then make your adjustments around that.
Pretty much. I mean, nothing super exciting there. It's just, I aim to get up. Most days I try and hit the gym at least once. If I can train, I can train. If I can work, I can work. If anything else, if there's any opportunities left to do something that's fun, exciting, or, interesting, and I'm in a different place that I can't normally do those things, I do that. It's basically that. I know it sounds hard.
Hard life you've got, going to Thailand, traveling the whole world. One thing I wanted to talk to you about is Polaris 4. So you were a referee, and I was watching you. Like a lot of people, most people were watching the competitors. I was watching you. I was like, this guy, Oli, he's the man. He's controlling the action, and there's some good fights, really good fights. What did you think of this year's Polaris 4? Or, well, not this year's, because there was one at the beginning of the year. This one.
The Polaris 4.
The Polaris 4.
No, I mean, it was a great show. I mean, I've been there now. The first time I went there, I went as a competitor. Second time I went more as a coach, where I wasn't really as a coach, but I was in Dan Strauss's corner when he fought AJ in the second one.
Okay.
The third one I was out of the country, and this time as a ref. So I'm kind of seeing a lot of different perspectives on the whole thing. It was always been a behind the scenes kind of thing, but I mean, it was a great show. The undercard particularly was absolutely fantastic. You know, I mean, there was five great fights, 3 super fast submissions, 1 quite fast submission, and then an incredibly, high level 10-minute black belt match that, was close to finishing with a submission. It was exciting the whole way through.
Yeah, I loved it.
And that was the free undercard. You can't really ask for much more than that. And that went, to be fair, my 2 matches on there were both in about 30 seconds. The first couple, so that was a little bit easier. But no, I mean, it was good to have that, and to have the opportunity to be out there, and just be part of the show, because the show itself does a lot in terms of highlighting. I mean, like the undercard highlights up and coming competitors. The main card, they always the guys in charge to try and support and scramble Tatami and all the sponsors across there. They try to make fights people care about, that are interesting for other people, and they help. They try and get people who need that extra exposure to go to the next level. They try and get them on the card, and it's always been a great opportunity to demonstrate international talent, British talent, sometimes British against international talent, and just people go there and they go for anything out, and it's the town afterwards. And it's a chance for a relatively non-political jiu-jitsu night out. It doesn't have to be an academy group going out or whatever. It's just, we're all here. We like jiu-jitsu enough to spend money to go to a hall and watch people fight, in Lycra. Yeah. That's what we do. And it's okay. There's not that whole, okay, we're here, but we're with our guys, we're fighting later and whatever. It's just a chance to be relaxed in the community without it being for a cause, without it being for anything else. It's just there. Kind of Globetrotters-esque, I guess, but with more British people.
Yeah. What did you think of some of the fights on the main card? I thought they had some really good fights going on. What did you think?
Yeah, I mean, the main card was all solid the whole way through. I mean, let's pick out the fights as they go. I mean, Charlotte Terror was a great fight in terms of that. Both guys brought it. Terror, I think, gasped a little bit toward the end, sort of slowed the pace down, which was, understandable when you have these massive grudge matches that go back, for over a decade, sort of thing. So, where the not matters from that. But he did everything to win from that point there, so there was never really any doubt about the decision. What else we got? Yaz did fantastically well against Dominica. Yeah. I mean, if you are, you're taking on the current, I believe anyway, absolute world champion who outweighs you by, I think it was 27 kilograms. That's kind of rough. And she got herself in a ton of bad places, but she toughed out lots of things. And she put on a really good show, despite it being on paper just a really, I guess a squash match, I guess. But it goes to show that she, despite that, she had a ton of heart and a ton of technique, which was enough to get her out of a lot of bad places. She got out of mount a couple of times. She got herself out of a bunch of deep submissions. Yeah. And you need matches like that. You need competitive matches, and you want ones where where there's heart displayed the whole way through, and it's not just about it's not just a clinic thing. It's about the athlete's heart more so than it is about necessarily watching the technique from there. Seeing someone gut out of something is one of the best things you can see in competition. I mean, it's probably not fun to have happen to you. I accept that, but I mean, to have someone get caught in something and then fight out of it, that's one of the things that makes it's a competition worth watching.
Yeah, it makes things a lot more exciting, and interesting as a spectator, and that's really cool. That's so cool. You've had like, you know, this behind the scenes view of this pretty big event. What are what are some things that they're like doing correctly that other promotions might not be? Because they seem to be doing pretty well.
I mean, it seems to be going pretty well. Yeah. I think it's just professionalism, I guess. You know, it sounds kind of obvious, but you know, just having that, you know, guaranteeing everyone gets paid, making sure that everyone, you know, is taken care of, you know, hyping the athletes is appropriate from there, and allowing the people who, you know, want to be on the card, you know, a chance on the undercard across there to build them, and then for the main athletes, just treating them well. There's a reason why, you know, most of the athletes on the card keep winning, keep coming back.
Yeah.
You know, because the shows, they enjoy being part of it. They're paid fairly. They're actually paid, which is also helpful. Not naming any names. And
so it's nice when you pay people.
Yeah, you know, it's useful to have. Yeah, you know, and just trying to make sure that everyone, you know, is there, and it's a good show for the fans, it's a good show for, you know, people from there. And I mean, there was a big thing, like there was a slight stream hiccup for the first couple of fights for the guys who were watching it online, you know, and instantly the community all jumped on it and were like, I want my money back. It's terrible from there. You've got to understand still that, you know, it's about 4 or 5 guys, you know, running the whole thing, and it's a labor of love in terms of that, and they're trying to put together, you know, a show. They're not sitting there, you know, they're not just going, okay, we're done now, we're going to sit back and rake in the cash or whatever. You know, it's still something they want to do. So if the stream's a bit off, that happens sometimes, you know, from there. You know, the fight is still available. You know, if you look back on it, there'll be replays and whatever. And sometimes there are hiccups. It's not like a scheme to, you know, defraud the community.
Yeah.
You know, there was a lot of instant hate. And one of the things that, you know, these days about social media and, you know, your Twitter and, you know, Instagram and everything else is that when something goes wrong, the backlash is instant. It's not like, you know, the next day you get a bunch of emails. You know, you get people sort of going, sort this out now, I'm never paying again, whatever. I mean, I honestly can't name pretty much any jiu-jitsu show ever that's not had some kind of stream problems.
Yeah, it's normal.
I mean, like Flow Grappling used to get a ton of crap for it across there. Metamoris has had huge trouble with the streams, as I recall. Copper Podio, great show, but I can't recall any time their stream has ever been vaguely reliable, ever. You know, they tried, but it's difficult to get that kind of thing together. I think it was kind of more of a problem because the YouTube stream was so perfect, but YouTube has a different infrastructure. They're designed for that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And a free YouTube stream has more of a sort of, as soon as you go paid, things kind of change up a bit. And, you know, it's not like the guys at Polaris said, okay, let's just limit the bandwidth for a while. You know, the hosting company, you know, had their thing, and so there was a slight hiccup. The fight was still there, the fight was still great, and they'd still be checked afterwards. It's not, I think, but yeah, a few guys got a little bit carried away with that. But, you know, I mean, I might be biased because I kind of had a good seat. You know, the streaming obviously didn't really affect me too badly. But, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's normal. It's normal. You're doing something on the internet. There's probably going to be some technical difficulties. You know, like that's anyone who's been on the internet should be aware that that's a thing. That you might have some problems, but don't worry, it'll come back as soon as they can get it back up. So, yeah, it's kind of a silly thing to get all up in arms about.
I think it's kind of strange because there's that big divide now between, you know, risk of being negative is that you know, when people are paying for a stream, they expect, you know, 100% crystal clear, whatever.
Yeah. Because
the fact remains that, you know, the next day they're probably going to try, you know, if they didn't have it, they'd probably be the guys pirating it. Well, not they would be, but, you know, the stream, the fights will all be available in varying quality from the next day if you're willing to wait from that point there. So when you pay money for it, you feel, you know, a bit more, okay, you know, I want this to be like a full seamless experience like the UFC or whatever, but that's a different level of income, different level of investment, and a different kind of thing. All in all, that's a, you know, multi-billion-pound company. But yeah, you know,
different level of production quality here. You know, Polaris, like you said, it's just a couple of guys, just a couple of jiu-jitsu, you know, fanboys throwing an awesome tournament.
And there's nothing wrong with that. And it needs more of that, really. Because to be fair, there's a bunch of other ones coming up. They're doing okay, but in terms of balancing sort of production value and good fights and just keeping the whole thing both grounded and high level, I can't think of anywhere really that's done it better than Polaris has.
Me neither.
At least consistently.
Me neither. They're great. They're awesome. Their show, especially Polaris 4, Gary Tonin versus Paul Harris was, for me, that's like one of my favorite fights ever. They did a great job.
I'll be honest, when I heard about it, I thought that was a terrible idea. But it's the fight that Gary wanted. I was like, well, okay, then let's make it happen. It turned out to be a great fight. But I was like, well, that's going to be awkward because, if he gets hurt, everyone's going to blame both Polaris and Polaris for the whole thing across there because it's a dangerous fight. But he took it and he made it a great fight. And hey, Gary pulls out everyone and goes for everyone. So there you go.
Yeah, he's the man. He's the man.
Yep.
Put on a great fight. What's it like being around all those high-level people? I mean, I'm sure you're kind of used to it at this point, but like, do you get to talk to them a lot and hang out, or is it more, are they busy? Are they worried about other stuff?
I mean, for Polaris, everyone was kind of chill, to be honest. Mm-hmm. I mean, it depends on the things. Like, obviously at like the Worlds and the Pans and stuff, but everyone's in the bullpen, everyone's all hyped up and stuff like that. Yeah. But like when it comes to those kind of shows, I think a lot of people view it as, okay, it's sort of a seminar atmosphere for some of them. For the fight, it's serious, but the day before, barring the ones you have to cut ludicrous amounts of weight, which a bunch of guys had to do, mainly just Nathan Watch cut, I think, 27 pounds over the course of the week. I think he cut 16 the day before.
That's crazy. That's nuts.
But that's what he chose to do. So those guys, the guys were just sitting there, just going, "We just get on with this. I hate this." But most guys, they show up. They choose a weight they know they can make. And they make a trip out of it. They have fun. They hang with the guys.
Yeah.
And whatever. In terms of being like starstruck or whatever, it's never really happened because again, when your first instructor is still probably the greatest and most famous jiu-jitsu competitor of all time, and they want to meet him, it kind of throws your sense of perception a little bit out of whack there. So,
yeah.
I mean, it's great to see the guys and stuff there, but I knew most of them anyway in varying capacities. I know most of the guys who compete a lot, and most of them know me to an extent. I wouldn't say we're friends necessarily, but it's a community that I'm kind of entrenched in, so I know most people. So you see some guys, you say hi. Some of them want to have their own space and do their own thing. Some just want to have a good time and have a good fight and make it exciting. So whichever.
What's it like training under Roger? Do you still train with him like all the time, or are you more doing your own thing these days?
Not at all, to be honest.
Oh, okay.
I'm just not around. I'm still under him, and he's still my instructor in that sense, and my association academy thing is still under Roger Gracie Academy and everything. I never broke away or whatever. I believe that you respect where you came from, and I wouldn't be where I am if it wasn't for him, and I accept that. But I'm not coming to the academy that much right now. It's a little bit out of the way, and basically anytime I'm back in the UK, I'm either not around London because I'm working, or I'm just kind of recuperating a little bit before going somewhere else.
Yeah.
Like last year, I'm probably here like 4 months out of the year, something like that. Again, it's an hour and a bit to hit to the academy. That's in the UK, and I'm at my affiliates probably a month and a bit out of that. Yeah. And then you come back and you're packing, you see your family. So, I try and get out there every now and then, but I probably see him and the guys from Rogers more at competition than I do at the academy, to be honest.
Yeah, it makes sense. You got a lot going on. What was it like when you started training with him? Like, what were some of the big takeaways you've had training with him over the years?
That's a big topic. But,
yeah.
When I first started at Rogers, he wasn't really teaching very much.
Mm-hmm.
My first guy who did most of the teaching when I started out was a guy called Felipe Souza, who ended up starting his own academy down the line. He basically was a guy who held down the kids program and everything from there, and he was like my first instructor through white and blue from there. Roger was around, but at that point he was more focused again on competing and training and stuff like that, so I didn't see him all that much. Later on he began teaching a lot more and stuff from there, but there was always a secondary instructor at the academy, who was holding it down as well. So to begin with, it was Felipe and Roger. Then it was Jude Samuel, who's the first British black belt, and Roger. Then it was Siri and Roger. Gustavo Siri, he moved out to California. He's one of the best kept secrets in jiu-jitsu. He's phenomenal.
Hmm.
And then after that, Legato and Roger. And now some other guys take over from there. Now it's Bruno and Junior, who are both Roger's students, and Charles, who is in the finals, I think, in the semi-finals of the World No-Gi right about now. I think.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
So it's never been, he's always been there, but he's never been, if you turn up every class, he'll be there kind of thing. He's got too much going on. He had the MMA and everything else from there, and training. But, he was always around. And yeah, never really very assuming, that's him, right? Rather unassuming, I guess, kind of guy. Would just turn up, take care of whatever business had to be done at the academy, make sure everything was running well. And then if he wasn't tired of training already, whether it's, conditioning or MMA or whatever, then he'd take over and do the class from there. Some days he'd do the whole, those periods where he'd teach nearly every class, periods where he would be around because he'd be training other countries. They mixed it up. But, basically, just a lot of focus on the basics, on, good proper control, and just a lot of things that, that way he does things that aren't the same as most people teach or that most people, do really in terms of things like his standard defenses and things aren't what you consider traditional from there. And they take a bit of adjusting in how you carry yourself to make them work from there. But the interesting thing overall really is that, every academy pretty much has, a guy who is a carbon copy of the instructor. Every academy has, you've got the black belt, there's always the purple belt who just does the black belt's game, but not as well. There's always one of those. Pretty much every academy.
Yeah.
There's no one of Rogers who does what Roger does at a lower level. Everyone had, also because his game, you can't just take a piece of it. You can, but you can't do what he does, but not as well. It won't work. Basically most of the time. But everyone, like all the high level guys, they all have a little piece of what Roger does from different places from there. Like one guy has, this is how he does, leg lock. This is how he mounts from side control. This is how he finishes a collar choke, And you'll find that everyone has little pieces of that across there. But then everyone has evolved their own way, which is also contributed to by the fact that we had so many different instructors there anyway.
Yeah.
That we got exposure to other things. If it had just been Roger at every single class, would have been different. Would have been interesting to see how it would have turned out. But we had the advantage of lots of other guys to bounce everything off and get a good experience with. So we had Legato's game, we had Felipe's, we had different approaches. When he's around, also Roger's dad, myself, again, tons of quality basics, but not the same basics that Roger did. Different kind of more old school mentality there. So you got exposed to a bunch of things, and with that, you try to find a way to make your own game off that, And again, now I think you'll find that large amount more academies aren't because you've got the internet built in now. I'm not saying use your words forever, but you have exposure to far more than just what your instructor gives you from that.
Yeah.
So yeah, basically, you get different kind of game from there. And so even Roger had taught every single class, there'd be guys coming in doing brown belts and everything else because there's just so much quality content online that can give people a chance to shape their own direction a bit more, as opposed to I don't know anything else and I can't find anything else, so I'll do what the instructor says, which is, in some ways a good thing, in some ways a bad thing, but it's just how the sport has evolved now.
Yeah.
The world has evolved, I guess.
What like elements of his game did you take that you incorporated into yours?
There's a question. My game hasn't really matched all that well with him, to be honest, with his, because he pretty much from the very beginning expressed huge disdain in a joking kind of way for everything that I did, for the half guard, for everything else. He basically said, at purple belt, he said, look, Oli, you have to stop doing this because it won't work at brown belt. And he was pretty much right. It's not working quite as well at brown belt, but I persisted the whole way through. But the weird thing is, because his argument was, it's hard to work against a good guy, people's pressure is better. It's hard to beat guys from half guard at brown belt, and it is. At brown belt was when my jiu-jitsu just stopped working quite as well, which is a shame. At the same time, the example I always kind of cite is if you go way back to Roger's absolute final with Shanji the second one that he lost, I think, where he played stand-up, he got taken down a couple of times, then he tried to pull close guard, ended up pulling half guard, and then doing a basic underhook sweep from half guard against Shanji Hibera, in the absolute final of the biggest competition in the world at the time when he was fighting the best fighters in the entire world. And that's not even what he wanted to do, which is kind of strange from there, I mean, it's something that he said it doesn't work ever, but he did it on the highest level you possibly can when it mattered most. Did he win the fight? No, but, he still hit the sweep.
Yeah.
And that's not even his A game sort of thing. So, I think it would have been interesting if Lucas Leitch didn't exist, if there wasn't anyone to point to at the high level doing half that stuff working, then it would be a little bit more a case of, okay, what are we doing here? But there's always been guys doing it, so I kind of stuck with it. But no, it's just always been small tweaks and things from there. Again, armbar, grip breaks, not the big techniques, because again, a lot of the stuff that he covered from there, again, takedowns I don't really do, it doesn't come up from there. I mean, Uchimata's his thing, and foot sweeps, both of which would be great if I stayed standing for longer than about 10 seconds, which I really do, either by choice or by bad. But yeah, he's got a bunch of stuff from there, and then again, finishing from out, good control, good pressure. The one standard thing, I think I was like a blue or purple belt. I think he was teaching how to mount from side control, and one of the sort of gloriously simple things that he said was, okay, stop. If I'm looking to mount from side control, he's going to stop me using his knees and his hands. So what I should do before I mount is get his knees and his hands out the way. I mean, that's incredibly obvious, but you're sitting there going, yeah, that kind of explains a little bit about why that wasn't working. He has a very sort of problem-solving based approach. Like, if you are, like, the reason, like, in mounts, you sort of go, okay, so you're in mount, and that's fine. So what do? It's not, if the person starts pushing on your leg or starts escaping, well, you find the thing that's pushing on your leg, and you pull it up, and you get it out of the way again. And again, incredibly obvious, but, rather than panicking and thinking, how do I change my hips? He goes, right, I will stay here, you will try to move, and I will stop you. I will look at what the problem is, and I will undo it, and then I'll progress as appropriate once I've dealt with the problem. I will never go backwards. I will just stop where I am, and I'll go forwards. If there's a problem, I will fight that battle, and I'll move forwards again, and so on and so forth. So it's kind of more of an approach, really, rather than a bunch of specific techniques. I'm sure there's a bunch of things there.
Yeah, so like you said, it's like a whole system. It's not necessarily just a game where you can like pick out little pieces and mash it all together.
You can't really. Yeah, because it's like his whole game as a whole. The reason why I think it lasted so well and was so effective against so many high-level guys is it's not really. It's just it done right. It just stops the other person doing anything correctly. Pretty much. You don't get a chance to start doing anything, so there's no need to have counters or to have an advanced thing. The best example there is, when he fought Homolo, and he basically just stack crushed Homolo for 6 minutes and didn't do anything else. He went, well, look, I know where I want to go, and you're stopping me, but eventually I'm going to press until you do something different. I know what I'm looking to do. I'm not stalling. I'm progressing, and you're blocking me. And he just kept pushing,
yeah.
And then when it was all done, it's that kind of thing. That means he doesn't need to evolve for the new game, because he doesn't do anything that he doesn't like have to, learn how to pass like Terere or whatever, do big dynamic movements, because that's never what he's done. So as the game evolves, it's a little bit harder because you can get tied up more. I think that's the main thing he has had a bit more trouble with, over time. When he started playing with lapel wraps and 50-50 shenanigans and everything else, where there is no good one-step solution to it. But then when it comes to an actual match, the person can't get in there and he crushes them anyway. If you put him in a bad place, he's going to have to find a way out. But that's the same, again, another quote I got from, I can't remember, it might be Sherdog actually, which was again a guy asking Marcelo at some point, what do you do from here? Which I think was when someone gets a deep De La Riva hook on you. And he goes, well, I'll probably get swept because it's all gone wrong by this point, and I might get away with it because I'm better, but it's already gone wrong before this point. So if the person doesn't do anything wrong, at this point I will always get swept. And same thing with Roger, as long as he doesn't do anything wrong, then the person has to work, and that's kind of where we are.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's a very old school approach to it, in a way, but that's really cool. That's a good way to express like his style.
Yeah, I mean, so, as the game's evolved, again, he just, but basically, I mean, this isn't always true, but it's partly true. The way I put it is, for most positions, like, presuming he's on top, which generally he is, for most places, if you want to change your guard or move to a sweep or anything else, you have to generally, even temporarily, pass through a bad position to get to the better position. It's very hard to go from like if you want to snake out or whatever, for a second you're going to put yourself in a slightly worse position until you get your knees in the right place and get to a better position. He just stops you in a bad position. That's basically how it goes from there. So no matter how good your game is, if you can't get there, it's all irrelevant from there. So you'll try and pass through a bad place and realise you can't. I think there's one of the matches. I think it was Galvao at the Worlds again a bunch of years ago, where he basically tries to pull guard on Roger and he ends up pulling side control. That shouldn't just happen. But, he didn't quite pull side control, but pretty much that. He pulls and it just all goes horrendously wrong straight out the gate because, again, Roger doesn't do anything wrong. He's given the position. And so when he goes for it, it all goes tits up, I suppose, at the time. But yeah.
How does training at a place like Rogers with lots and lots of very high level people, how does that compare to like some of the other places that you've trained in the world, like Kosovo, or some of the other places that you've been lately?
I haven't been to Kosovo.
Oh, not Kosovo. I'm sorry. Where were you recently in down in that region of the world? Moldova. I'm sorry. Yeah. Someone from Moldova is listening, and they're like, "This motherfucker, he doesn't know anything."
Yeah. But it's different. I mean, honestly, when I first started at Rogers, although there was high-level guys, there weren't that many high-level, high belts there. When I first started at Rogers, there was Roger, Felipe with the 2 black belts. There was 1 brown belt who visited from time to time, and the top students were purple belts. And you find it hard to believe now because Roger is who he is or whatever. Yeah. But that's the same as almost every other academy. You go to, when I went to Gracie Bar in Montreal, Bruno Fernandez teaching there, bunch of purple belts who are very tough. It's the same kind of gig. You go to that stage with beast purple belts, and eventually all the belts fill out. Then there's white belts, blue belts, purple belts, brown belts, black belts. Then eventually there's student black belts, and it all builds off the back of that. It's weird when you go to a place that has less developed things from there, but Moldova is a strange place in terms of the jiu-jitsu community because there's a lot of politics mixed into it. Yeah. There's a lot of different academies, despite the fact that there's no reason for a lot of different academies to exist. A risk of being basically there's about 3 or 4 different teams in the city that I visit across there. All of them have under 20 students. All of them. Wow. Okay. And yet they all compete with each other and have rivalries, which, if you think about it, makes no sense. Yeah. But it is how it is. It's not the most logical way of dealing with things. But again, I think it's the same way when you're in a small gym and it's just white and blue belts. Being the best blue belt means you're the best guy in the gym, so it matters more, I guess, to some people from there. So I think the higher level gets, the more perspective you get, the same sort of thing. So when same way, good example, I guess, when people hand out belts, everyone's first blue belt is going to be probably a higher level than their second blue belt, and higher level than third blue belt, or whatever. The standards will change over time because you are artificially inflated to begin with. You want someone to be, almost like a whole belt higher than where they actually are, before they're ready for it. You want your purple belt to be a monster. Your first purple belt should be winning everything from that. Your first brown belt, you won't give the brown belt until the purple belt's beating everyone, and so on and so forth from there. I think smaller gyms, it matters more, and that's not wrong. It's just a different sense of scale across there, because to them it is that is the community they're in, and so so it's the same way when you have in certain countries you have mixed belt divisions sometimes. Yeah. Back when I competed at blue belt, I went to compete in I think it was the Amsterdam Open, and the division was white belts and then blue through black. That was the other division. Yeah. And it turned out my division was all blue belts, but some had purple, some had browns, some had black, whatever. And I think when you start making things up, it's a political thing because people don't want to be exposed to the risk of losing to a lower belt, which I understand. But at the same time, in the end, people kind of chill with it. Good example also is in Scandinavia, the Swedish nationals that I referenced a little while back. They have 2 divisions basically. They have, for the nationals, it's purple belts and up. Okay.
Yeah.
And basically they're all mixed together, and then you fight anyone from there. So you're trying to prove that you are the Swedish national champion. That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
And so they don't divide up. You're a purple belt, you can win. It doesn't matter if you get a black belt on the way. They don't really care about that quite as much, because if you still want to fight, you don't fight. But they have that built in. And the interesting thing about the rules is, whoever you fight, you use the rule set of the lower belted person.
Oh, okay? Gotcha.
Black belt in 7 minutes with no leg lock. There's the rules from that. So it's an interesting change up from there. So you can't just play the whole "well, I'm a black belt, so I'm going to hold the heck out of you, even though you can't do it to me" or whatever thing. It levels the playing field a bit from there. It's quite nice to have that sense of divide, I guess. But divide and sort of combination where you have the guys fighting together. And it's not about the belts necessarily. It's about who's proving who's the best. It's kind of like a no-gi approach, I guess.
Yeah.
To gi jiu-jitsu. It's the elite. It doesn't really matter beyond that.
Yeah.
I just thought.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of tournaments here in Germany that are like that, where they're like they don't do it by belts. They do it by like beginner. They have beginner, intermediate, and advanced. So beginner is like anyone who's been training under a year. Then intermediate is like 1 to 3 years, and then advanced is anyone who's been training longer than 3 years. So you've got maybe experienced blue belts fighting brown belts or things like that. Yeah. One of the tournaments I just went to, we had a white belt who was fighting in the advanced division because he'd been training luta livre for like 5 or 6 years, and then he trained jiu-jitsu for like 1 or 2 years. So he was still a white belt in jiu-jitsu, but he was fighting all of the brown belts and black belts, and he did really well. Yeah. So
I mean, when I was a blue belt, I went to a full-on open belt competition in maybe Wales or Bristol, I can't remember, somewhere out west. And I ended up fighting a white belt in the final. We've been training for 7 years at that point. I was a 3-year blue belt. He was a 7-year white belt. It's just kind of how it turned out. At that point, there's it's. I think it could be nice if it could not be so much about the belt sometimes. But again, when it comes down to it, also play the other side of it. With the nature of how the jiu-jitsu community, the negative side of the community, is the only reason anyone who's not a black belt goes to a black belt competition is so they can say at the end, "I beat a black belt." Yeah,
that makes sense. Yeah.
I'm as guilty as anyone else. I did that as well. I went when I went to my first black belt combined competition, which was an Abu Dhabi trial. There, I want to try and fight a brown belt so I can beat a brown belt, and I want to fight a black belt and beat a black belt. And if you do that, if you have that as a mission for yourself, that's okay, I think. But again, with the nature of how the community is, on the negative side of it, if you do beat a black belt, then you're always going to beat a black belt who lost to a purple belt.
Yeah, exactly.
And some people will argue and go, well, yeah, but he's a really good purple belt, and he is. But again, people will always use that to bring you down. So when it becomes your livelihood down the line, then people will begin to use it. It becomes a risk from that perspective. And people go, well, yeah, it doesn't matter. I can do this, I can do that, and that's true. But they're not the ones who the business is what's going to suffer in certain cases when it happens. When everyone turns around and the other academy in town then pops up and goes, well, yeah, but our black belt didn't lose to a purple belt in competition the other week. Yeah, because your black belt didn't fight it, but that's not the point. Or whatever. Or maybe the purple belt from the other academy beats the black belt from the other academy. But that purple belt wrecks the black belt teaching the other academy as well. You don't know that, but in the moment, people want to build up scalps, and so the scalping process is a big part of jiu-jitsu. And so I can understand people don't want to risk fighting lower belts, because of the reputation kick. You get to that, for the big prizes, people go for it. But I can understand why people wouldn't do it as well. There's when fighting a competition could greatly impact your ability to make a living. Then, the ones who do compete the whole time generally are the ones who are sure they'll win every time. Yeah, exactly. Which, it's less of a commitment in that sense. If you're a beast black belt who competes the whole time, and you fight a purple belt, sometimes you're going to lose still. There was a bunch of guys, a bunch of Abu Dhabi trials, a bunch of the Swedish nationals, where the winner was a purple belt in a black belt division. It is how it is. So. Yeah. Anyway, so that's a side point. But when it comes to these mixed belt division stuff, it's a weird thing for all people concerned. But I'm not going to pass judgment anywhere. People who do try and scout people, because I did it. When I was there, When I was blue belt, I wanted to fight a purple belt. When I was a purple belt, I wanted to fight a brown belt, and I wanted a black belt. And when I was doing that, when I was chasing people, the divisions favored me. I accept that. But now I'm here as a black belt. There aren't many divisions where you can deliberately fight down. Because now they've separated out. Abu Dhabi now had different belt levels. When I went, it didn't. And so on and so forth. I mean, my first Abu Dhabi, Marcelo Garcia was in my division.
Wow.
When I was purple belt. Callis was in my division when I was purple belt. That's just how it was. And I lost to a brown belt at the first fight. So it happens. But
that's crazy. Marcelo was in your division. That's crazy. Yeah. That's crazy.
74 kilograms, purple, brown, black combined. Abu Dhabi in a tennis court somewhere. Yeah.
What was that like?
It was kind of, it all felt like a big holiday. Because now, basically, first Abu Dhabi Pro Trials. Now it's the World Professional Jiu-Jitsu Cup, etc. But I saw the competition advertised, and I genuinely didn't believe it was actually going to happen. I went so I could try and fight a black belt. That's why I went. Yeah. And I went, and they said if you win, they'll pay for your flight to Abu Dhabi, and they'll do this and they'll do that. And I was like, well, that's not going to happen, but okay, we'll give it a go. And that's kind of when the first Abu Dhabi Pro Cup sort of began. So I went to a small gym in Portugal. I fought 2 fights. My first fight was against the black belt. My second was against the brown belt. I won both of those. Okay, so we'll sort you out. We'll put you on the European trials team, and we'll send you out to Abu Dhabi. So I was like, oh, okay. Well, I'll do that then. So I went out to Abu Dhabi with a bunch of guys from across Europe. It was basically sort of Team Europe, on tour across there.
That's awesome.
A bunch of guys at different belt levels, all really tough guys. And then pretty much all of us went out and got wrecked by better guys who qualified for Brazil. But that's kind of how it goes. We had a great time of it. It was a great experience. And that's kind of the beginning of how Abu Dhabi Pro became what it did. I went for the first 5 years. I qualified twice, and I went privately 3 times because it's just an experience you've got to do. And it's honestly cheaper than flying to the world. But there's also that. Yeah. But from the UK anyway. From America, obviously not. But yeah, it's just. I went 5 years in a row. It was great. I'm going back again this year, but in a staff capacity now.
Oh, cool.
But yeah, it's just a fantastic vibe. You get to see you get to see people just hanging out and just staying in the hotel. When you stay at the hotel, they converted into the pool hall. With all this. Well, I think it was a billiards hall technically, but same idea. Snooker tables, pool tables, whatever. They shifted all those into the side of the room, threw down some mats, and then everyone would just roll there on this marble floor with mats on it in the offices in a hotel that is the Abu Dhabi Officers Club, which is also where they were hosting everyone. And it sounds insane. That's what happened. And so you're there and you're watching all these guys go to war with each other. The Meows back then at Blue Belt, I think. That might be the second year I was there, but whatever. The Meows rolling, Leandro for the first time, all that kind of stuff. And you're just all just chilling across there.
That's so cool.
It's not bad. It's a decent trip.
That's so cool. Ollie, I've got to wrap this up, unfortunately, but thanks for being on the show. Is there anything you want to promote before we head out?
I suppose I should briefly mention I keep calling it a DVD. It's not a DVD yet. My downloadable instructional, which is Footlock Mastery, which is, in theory anyway, a complete system dealing with the straight footlock, legal at white belt. IBJJF. There's no reaping. There's nothing that is illegal at any other level from there. It is www.footlockmastery.com. It's about, I think it's like 37 something techniques. Digital download, £25, which in any country except England is probably a fantastic deal right now with how our currency is looking. And yeah, about an hour and 10 minutes. It's a lot of stuff I've used successfully in competition, and I've learned over the last years. And
yeah, I'll put the link in the show notes. I downloaded it, and it's an awesome instructional. I really like it. I haven't seen one that thorough, like in the gi. Usually when you see a leg lock video or a DVD, it's all no gi stuff. But I thought this was really cool because it was all in the gi. And gi specific, and dealt with a lot of problems that, happen in the gi. Like, what do you do when they grab you, this way with the gi? Or what do they do when they grab your collar? And it's really great. And I won one of my matches in the last tournament that I did. I won a match with one of your techniques. So thank you. Appreciate it. It was pretty legit.
Good to hear it still works and Jiu-Jitsu hasn't moved on, in the past 6 months, which wouldn't be impossible. There's weird things going on.
I know.
But, to be fair, Greg, there is a second, isn't mine now, but there's another one someone just released called Ashigarami Basics, which is actually a lot of similar content. So there is now one there, but I felt there was a gap in the market. I thought I'd do it, and it's gone down pretty well. So if you do want to download that, that's free download, no digital rights management, whatever. If you could support, it'd be great. But if not, ask someone who's already bought it again.
I'll put the link in the show notes to people. If you're listening and you want to check it out, go to Trek Jitsu and it'll be there. So anyway, Oli, thanks so much. Next time you're at a Globetrotters camp and I'm there too, we'll do a live episode or something. Okay. And
I'm planning to be at all of them the next year, well, pretty much. So I'm sure we'll run into each other.
Definitely.
You coming to Austria?
I'm gonna try. I really would like to. I've heard Christians say that the Austria camp is like the most intense one in terms of ratio of partying, sleep, and jiu-jitsu and snowboarding.
Yeah. I mean, I went twice. The first year was relatively bearable. Second year, I injured my back on the first night, which was great. So I basically did nothing. I just lurked and was miserable for the whole camp. But it was, you can get a chance to combine snowboarding. It's 3 or 4 days. It's super intense, but it's always a good time. And everyone's kind of living close by, so you get that nice sort of team bonding thing from there. And for some people don't even want to snowboard. Some people go there and just train during the day and then do classes at night. That's fine too. Everyone's got their own approach to it. It's a beautiful place. It's a little chilly, but it's a good 4 or 5 days of action out there. Yeah,
I'm definitely gonna try. If we're there, then we'll do a live episode, and that'd be great. But thanks a lot for doing this show, man. It'll be I think it was a good time. So thanks a lot.
Thank you for having me. And we'll catch up soon.
Definitely, man. Thanks. Thanks so much to Oli for being on the show, and thanks to you guys for listening. It's been really great having you along for the ride. If you guys want to support the show, please go to iTunes and leave us a 5-star rating and a review. It's a really, really great way to support the show, and we really appreciate it. Once again, if you want to send in your footage, whether it be grappling footage, striking footage, sparring, tournaments, whatever you want to send in, we'd love to have it. We'll promote it, we'll post it everywhere on your behalf, and we'll give you kind of a platform to go off of. We've been featured now a few times on BJJ Eastern Europe, watchbjj.com, and a few other really cool places. It's been really great getting help and exposure from those guys. So if those guys happen to be listening, thanks so much. Yeah, we'll give you a platform to showcase some of your work and maybe showcase your gym, showcase some of your students, whatever you want to do. So please send in footage to mattrixvideo@gmail.com. You can also see our whole video and podcast library at mattrix.com. Also, the show notes for this episode will be posted at mattrix.com and on our Facebook page, Instagram, everywhere. So go to mattrix.com. You'll find links to all that we do, and really hope that you check it out. And one more time, I'd really like to give a shout out to my friends at Waves Overhead. They do all of the theme music for this podcast, and their song To Make Amends is the theme music for Mattrix. So I'm going to go ahead and play their song right now and check them out.